I'm Marcel, back with The Pulse, and if you don't know this gentleman, you have not been watching my channel the last half year. This is Dr. Daniel Fabricant of Natural Products Association. We're here for the Fly-In Day, which kicks off tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Yes.
How do you feel going into this, Dan?
I'm just, Kyle feels good, so I feel good. That's really what matters. This is really a big creation of Kyle's work. We're excited. It's great to be back after 4 years. COVID obviously limited our ability to get in front of people's faces. I know that sounds kind of aggressive. It's not. But just tell the story, right? A lot of associations in town. Everyone's fighting for air. We want to tell our story. We want to make sure they know what's going on with FDA, what's going on with NMN, making sure we have access, making sure they know that it's really important for everyone to have choices to stay healthy.
You want to add something to that, Kyle? How do you feel? Are we ready?
Yeah, we feel good. I'm excited to see everyone tomorrow. We have about 110 people coming out, 80 plus meetings on the Hill, several member meetings, so looking forward to what should be a good day.
Had some great comments from the industry people here with most of them Team NMN. There's a lot of people who are either like here on Team NMN or involved with other supplements but are here to support. There's a huge company here. I'm not going to day by day because we're going to have them on the show pretty soon on the channel. But they're here and they're not even selling NMN. They're just here to support us in this fight because they recognize the importance of it. So if there's any doubt, and you spoke about this before, but reiterate the importance of this as a tripwire to the rest of the industry.
Yeah, we lose NMN, we lose everything, right? Like innovation, I don't think any of us want to be a part of an industry where you can't have new health products, right? That doesn't really sound like hey, remember how you guys stayed healthy last year? Well, it's only going to get worse from here. Not really interested in that. Not being able to innovate. If this goes the way that I think FDA wants it to go, where it only protects pharma IP, you can rest assured there will be a company tomorrow that will file an IND for every possible ingredient on the planet to be drug excluded, which means you can't ever sell it as a consumer product, which is a big problem for all of us.
Absolutely. At the same time, public sentiment seems to be moving our direction towards natural ingredients, towards living healthy in general. I run into younger people. I was running into a young marketing guy who I actually got started in sales and marketing 10 years ago. And so we had dinner last night in LA, and he's now 32, and he says, none of my friends smoke. All of my friends are healthy. So the momentum with the young people, I mean, we just need to last long enough because they won't stand for this. They're as angry as my aging customers as well. So I don't know if you guys have seen much of that yet, but I'm getting more and more exposed to that, and I'm getting people on the channel saying, hey, I'm 25, I'm worried about this too.
Well, look, I feel guilty now for smoking my cigars, but look, I think there's a good message there. There's a nexus there that we have to. And here's our board chair, Mark Ledoux, big man, big reason behind NAC, NMN that we're fighting for this. There's people want self-care. They want to have choices in self-care. It shouldn't be that, hey, once someone files a nuisance IND, you're precluded from the market wherever. FDA has real problems to solve. They have problems on imports. Mark submitted NDIs, spent millions on NDIs, safety on beta-alanine. We wanted enforcement because people were making copycat ingredients that we didn't know what their specs were out of literally human feces. That wasn't a problem, but NMN was a problem. So these are the sorts of things we need to get the agency on the right page. We need to, say, hey, let's go after the bad guys. Let's go after the guys that aren't rule followers, and the guys that are rule followers, the folks that are filing NDIs on NMN, doing self-grasses on NMN. You know what? Those are the folks that should be in the marketplace.
So, yes, we have a surprise guest here, Mark Ledoux, Chairman of Natural Products Association, Chairman of the board, right?
Yes, indeed.
And you also run a company yourself. Tell us about your company.
Natural Alternatives International. I started 40 plus years ago, and we're focused on designing products that are suitable alternatives to dangerous pharmaceutical agents that have a history of sound science and appropriate pharmacology. So we're not trying to replace pharmacy, but we adopt the principle that Hippocrates said, which is let your food be your medicine. So we need to identify what's in foods that has positive medical appropriation for the human condition. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
That is fantastic, and that's right along the lines of what our audience out there is interested in, Mark. So that's just beautiful words. Like I love some of your quotes. You were throwing zingers at me a little while ago. I'm like, can you come on the channel? We could just chop. We're going to chop Mark up and make about 100 TikTok shorts out of these lines.
Well, what was fun was I coined the one that says maybe it's time to take the F out of FDA, which is, they do pretty good with drugs and maybe cosmetics. But with food, it's kind of a weird situation because if you look at the last several commissioners of the FDA, once they leave government employment, they're on the boards of major pharmaceutical companies or chief science officers of major pharmaceutical companies. That's a problem in my mind. They don't seem to go to work for vitamin manufacturing or dietary supplement companies. They go to work for big pharma. If the FDA has become the employment agency for big pharma, the consumers in this country have a big problem.
I've been talking about change, fundamental change in our country in the food supply, not just the supplement supply. I live in Europe, frankly, and farm to fork is not a thing there. It's the thing. It's way more normal. Yeah. It's not a surprise.
Where are you at in Europe?
I'm in Germany, central Germany, not far from.
Ich habe Familie in Niederbayern.
Oh, sehr gut. Dann jetzt reden wir für unsere deutsche Zuschauer.
Ja, Zuschauer. No, we have a plant in Switzerland, and it's interesting you mentioned that. The people in Europe, they picked up on this early when they looked at the concept of frankenfoods and genetic modification of strains of different crops that they were concerned about. And I think they justifiably were concerned about that. And so you can't find GMO-derived products in Europe.
That's right.
You can find a lot of them in the United States. I would submit to you, maybe there's some evidentiary concerns related to why we have an epidemic of diabetes in America versus in Europe. You have to start questioning what our concerns are about food safety, food regulations, and what's different about what's going on in Europe versus the United States. There's a lot of food for thought there, and I think we need to dig into it.
It's a great sentiment. It is sort of the completion of this concept that we've thrown out there. We've talked about it. That why is the drug agency overseeing the food supply?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, foods and drugs are really different animals. Drugs are synthesized versions of what serendipitously may have been found in nature. I mean, think about most of the drugs we take for granted. Aspirin. Aspirin came from the bark of the white willow tree. Well, who figured that out? It wasn't Friedrich Baer. It was other guys, like Indians, that figured this out. Digitalis came from the American foxglove plant. The Indians figured that one out. So you start thinking about where do medicines come from, and then you start thinking about the bigger picture. Why do I get a patent on a medicine that I can charge $1,000 for a month's supply versus the natural progenitor that maybe was $30? So you start questioning the economics of this whole thing. I'm not to suggest that pharmaceuticals are a bad thing. They're great in appropriate uses. But where they subsume appropriate uses of foods and supplements in the treatment or maintenance of good health, I start having a concern about that.
Well, we're going to leave you wanting more on that thought, and looking forward to tomorrow, looking forward to talking to you more.
Yep.
It's a beautiful sentiment that I wish the drug industry would acknowledge our value the way you just acknowledged theirs.
They do, but they want to buy us. I think.
I guess
I think the reality of it is
imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right?
Let's face it. Look at CBD. CBD is a fascinating molecule. In fact, there's multiple molecules associated with CBD. But if CBD works to control pain better than or equivalent to over-the-counter pain medications at substantially less cost, you start looking at the economics of this and going, well, if you're in the pharmaceutical business and you're selling over-the-counter pain relievers, you don't want CBD to see the light of day. Either that or you want to buy the company because you want access to that science. So we have to start questioning things at a much higher level and go, what is it we're really trying to do here? Are we trying to make people well? give them a healthier life, or is this all about the money?
Mark Ledoux, Dan Fabricant, Kyle Turk, all from Natural Product Association. We're pre-gaming. We're ready. We're loaded for bear. We're practicing here. We're rehearsing for you guys. Thanks for watching. More to come. Much more to come.